Rotorheads with Nick, Sage, and Johnny. Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is episode 23 of Rotorheads. Nick, Jonas, how you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, same.
Yeah. It's Sunday today. We usually don't record on Sundays.
We record whenever we have time. Oh wait, I should not say that. Have fun sleeping.
Restart. It's a good timeout that you're cutting this out because I had to kick my cat out because apparently he's gonna come in here and meow. So, anyway,
I did not hear any meows.
I'm doing good.
That's good. So, Nick, you were super busy yesterday on Saturday. What were you doing?
It was a nice long day. I had to get up at 4:45 a.m. to get to the hangar to fly a helicopter downstate Illinois. We got there to do air rides at 8 a.m. and did 4 air rides and then did nothing till about 6:30 because the weather went to shit and it was 40-mile-an-hour winds all day. And the hot air balloons couldn't come in, so it was that event. So basically we sat around for hours on end till about 6 o'clock, and then we did about 20 air rides. So that made it a little better.
I was thinking it would probably suck to be in like a small helicopter with super high winds. It never occurred to me how bad it would be to be in a hot air balloon with 40-mile-an-hour winds.
They stop them after about 6. So,
6 miles an hour?
Yeah. They said after that, it gets sketchy. Like, because landing, you're rolling hard.
But
Nick,
yeah,
that's fair.
Flying R22 and that kind of wind, it's sketchy as well.
I've been up in like 35 knots in the 22, and it's not fun.
So much low G possibilities.
Yeah, because we had to take off, like, we had the helicopter sitting out on the ramp, and the guy offered to put him in, like, let us put him in a hangar behind, like, a couple other ones, so we had to fly him over there. I just basically picked it up into a hover and just let the wind push me over there. Like, I'm just gonna slide around all these hangars.
Man.
But, it, like, ended up raining, and then we got a nice double rainbow with a nice picture. I'm not gonna say that word, like I was just about to say what Johnny said.
Yeah. I'll
So, got a nice picture of the helicopter. Yeah, we'll say that. But yeah, so otherwise, I didn't really do any RC this past week. Well, did I? Oh, I went out and just flew one day, but that was about it. Nothing special.
Nice.
Otherwise, yeah, that's my whole week summed up real fast.
Well, there you go. Okay, so I have a question for you, though. Because you were talking about how long of a day you did with, like, and you got up starting your day just, like, flying to the place where you're going to work. Are there regulations about, like, how many hours you can actually, like, spend flying, like, in a day or in like, a 24-hour period?
Depending on what you're doing. If it's, like, 135, which is, like, charter work, and they're specific on, like, they have to actually track how long they fly, because they're not allowed to go past certain limits.
So, like, if you were a private pilot or something, like...
commercial pilots do, is more, like, where it comes in. Once they're doing, like, charters, like, flying people around, like, all the time.
Right. Yes, by
regulated.
Private pilot, I realized I misspoke. I meant, like, someone who, like flies a private plane
charter
for someone.
Yeah, basically, then, yeah.
Okay, so for, like, your air rides and stuff like that, though, do you have to, like, log all those hours because it's, like, commercial, right?
Not, like, to the point where I can't fly anymore. I log the hours just to keep track of my hours, but I don't have, like, a limit, per se.
But you could fly all day long, no problem, without it being an issue. That's cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, we flew a total of about 6 hours yesterday. Yeah, I had one. Just one. And, like, 2 pops, and just really unhealthy is all I am. But, you know. Like, let's be honest, 3 pops in a total of 1 day and a Red Bull. Like, yeah, I'm gonna die, but it's okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was my day yesterday. 17 hours of Red Bull and soda.
There you go.
So, Johnny, what have you been up to?
Nothing really.
Oh, great. That's very good. Good story.
Yeah, uni started last week, so we're in semester number 3 now, which is not bad, I think. So yeah, that
How
will
many semesters do you have?
7 until I got my bachelor's degree.
Oh, you didn't count it by like separate years? You just go by semesters?
Yeah, 3.5 years, because one semester is like half a year.
Yeah, but I just mean like you just
Okay.
keep counting up in semesters. You don't go like 1 and 2 and then a next like grade, then 1 and 2.
Nah.
Never mind, just keep going.
No, heli-wise, I haven't been doing anything, partially because the weather sucked, partially because, well, I have been gone till like 5 every day now, because university has like ridiculous schedules. And
You did some heli stuff last week.
Did I?
Yeah, you sent pictures of you had to part with an old friend, right?
Oh yeah, I got rid of my Logo 600.
Yeah.
Planning to put the electronics into the E700, and if that one's shitty, back to Logo 690, because I fucking love that helicopter. And well,
It was always a good heli for you.
yeah, it was like I had some of the best flights of my life with that thing, because it was limited in power and you had to think about actually what you were doing with it. So it was kind of the perfect heli to like, yeah, for my flying style, because I am not a pilot to smack a helicopter around.
Yeah.
Never.
Never.
Sometimes, but yeah, I prefer smooth.
But only when it's naughty heli.
So, can we just take a fact that he was about to say he prefers smooth flying? Like, have you seen this kid fly? It's not smooth.
Thank you. Not. What you're saying is I'm not succeeding at flying.
I mean, well,
well, yeah, sure. Thanks.
go excavate some more.
Brutal.
That was only 1600 RPM. I know where your issue is. That was smooth and slow. But yeah,
I don't know.
I'm already planning my next Logo 690 because I don't think I can make friends with the Raptor because of the tail. But
Yeah,
you
maybe
never
not.
know. You never know.
Just keep an eye on Gropner's website, because on the European site, because it looked like they were adding more and more E700 parts. So they may have the speed up gears on there before too long. And the gears look cheap to me. Like they were like $3 or $4 or something like that. So they were just out of stock.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm waiting for. But also, I don't know if the E700 tail drive train can keep up with my ride rudder flying. Cause
Maybe not. We'll see.
yeah, if it crashes, then it crashes. It's over, and yeah, that
Time
means
to learn
instant-
left rudder.
Yeah, if you crash it, you're gonna have to send me all the bits that survive, and I'll get the gasser conversion for it.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wait, there's a
Oh,
gasser
gas.
for E700.
Yeah, there's a gasser conversion.
The gas are for like everything now. Besides
You
the
can get
logo.
you can get it from Gas Powered Thoughts in
Wow.
the US, or Gas Powered Helicopters. I mean, Carrie
Why-
Shirley's shop.
But why would you?
Great. 35-minute flight times of just annoying slow 3D.
I thought that's what turbines are for.
It's actually like I think it's 11.5 pounds dry.
Really? That's not bad.
Yeah,
I
no,
know-
it's because it's based on the E700.
I know what that is. 11.5 is like 4.5-ish.
Really good for a gasser, because from what I understand, the new the 300 size gasser motors put out pretty darn near what a 91 or a 90 size nitro motor will do. They're just heavier. But if you get the whole airframe down to the same ish like weight, which actually is still going to be heavier than the nitro, it's still going to fly better than the gassers of old, though, I think.
Yeah.
They're getting better all the time.
Or just go nitro, you know. Why not?
Yeah, but there are advantages to gas over nitro. The fuel is super cheap for gas.
Yeah.
Whereas as far as nitro goes, it's pretty spendy.
Yeah, right.
I just
And
don't
if
like
I'm
the
at-
sound of the gas.
Yeah, no, I know. There's different pipes and stuff, though. It's hard because it's not like you can go to a fun fly and see like every different option that's out there. Usually there's just a few of them, if any. And so
Yeah.
it's hard to get an idea of like what's available. But I've been looking a little bit, and there are several options.
Sounds right. Besides that, the 700 is still not here. It is still at the last post office it has to go through before coming here.
Post office?
DHL thingy, like whatever you call it, the things where packages go.
Terminal.
No, I'm just teasing you. Like post, I knew what you meant. It just sounded kind of like you said pasta office. So
Where
like
they
maybe
make
we're
the
at, I would go
pastas.
get some macaroni.
He's German, not Italian, alright?
Well, you don't know how Germans do their pasta. You could have to buy it from the pasta office. In Italy, you would just go to like the nearest store because I'm pretty sure they sell pasta everywhere there.
That's all they
Pasta
eat.
office. You know, but it's like 10 kilometers from here. And, well, I'm waiting for delivery.
Yeah, for sure.
Then they show
I'm
up
guessing
and they're
it'll
like,
come this
"Hey,
week, right?"
Pay this.
Maybe. If DHL decides to deliver it, yes. If not, then not. It's been there for the last week, so not getting my hopes up.
I wonder what their problem is.
Probably that
I
they're
couldn't think of a name.
fucking DHL and unreliable shit.
Well, that could be part of the problem.
So that sounds like it would do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've also noticed that everybody hates at least one shipping service.
I hate them
Yeah.
all. They all suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all suck. That's my.
Let's be
view, too.
honest. People
I
that
actually
hate
have
just
the,
one, then no, you're full of it. They all suck.
I have the best luck with the post office, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Around here, yeah,
That's pretty good then, at least.
yeah. Our UPS guy's good too, but anyway. Well, I hope it shows up this week.
Yep, same. And otherwise, we have made the fireball fly in accuracy. And
Oh yeah.
friend just got his flew the one in accuracy and says, yep, matches 1 by 1. So, think that's how we
That's
are
good.
releasing it. Hopefully.
Nice.
Next is Logo 480.
Yes.
Then Synergy 516.
No.
Yeah.
Then Proto 700 Nitro. Then Synergy
Sounds
5,
about right.
That one kind of
566.
sounds fun.
760.
I was like, what's a 566?
Yeah, 766. It's alright. Yeah, the large one.
No problem.
We
The
got
la-
like
Yep.
teaser dates at all? Or no?
No,
No, not really.
we just work till they're done.
Just hurry
Yep.
up and give me that 480, alright?
Yes.
It's next, so-
I want to fly my underpowered 480 in the sim.
I mean, Zane is working on it. It has the head geometry of the 690 1x1, so we can import onto that one and probably use the entire...
I'm just going to pretend you didn't say any of that and say, yeah, he's working on it. Because I have no clue what you just said.
It's the same rotor head and same tail rotor, and we already
Oh.
have those working. So
I was like, what did you just go on about?
yeah, so if Zane puts it in there and tells the sim, hey, it's based on a 690, then it should work pretty much without any additional effort. So yes, I think the 480 could be done in like a week or so. Don't nail me
Well,
down
hopefully.
on that.
Maybe next week we'll be flying it.
Yeah, would be sweet.
So, Go ahead.
Otherwise, that's about it for me. Trying to think of anything else I've done, but I'm boring this week. So,
All right.
yeah, Sage, go ahead. Do tell us.
Let's see. I ordered some nitro goodies. So I got some like bright colored fuel line and some new clamps and stuff. Got a bunch of little clips because I read this story not too long about a guy's fuel line coming off and the fuel getting on his like cylinder head or his muffler or something, and it ignited, and yeah, so it was like a whole bad deal. And so I didn't want that to happen, so I bought a bunch of these little clips that secure your fuel line, and I went and replumbed the whole nitro, so it's got cool bright green plumbing and it's all secured, and yeah, it's fun. And then I also ordered I already had another starter. So I left my starter at RCHN, and then it ended up with a buddy of mine, and he's been super busy putting on this fun fly lately, which actually happened this weekend. I couldn't go because I was helping my mom do some stuff yesterday in Hermiston. But anyway, he's got it, and so I was like, well, this would be a perfect time to have my other starter, at least outfitted, so that if for whatever reason I was down a starter, I had a backup. And so I just bought the SAB one-way bearing starter one that has the one-way in it, and it fits inside the rubber cup. So I got one of those. They're like $20 or something. Not really bad. And then I bought another small 4S pack. And so I should have that on Monday, and so I'll probably go out and fly the nitro this coming week.
I still don't get why you cannot just use a hand drill thingy, like one of these.
I mean, I could fast enough usually.
No, you can use if you've got an 18-volt drill, you can use that to start a nitro. It just it's a lot better if you've got a one-way bearing in your starter one. So, I could easily rig something up to use my drill to start it. I would just rather use the right setup. And if I gotta wait one more day for a lipo, that's fine.
Yeah, right. Oh, well.
Yeah, I don't know. That was my initial plan, was to use a drill so I don't have to buy a starter. But my brother got me a starter for Christmas, and then I got another starter in a deal I got when I bought like my fuel pump and stuff like that, my filling pump and stuff. And so, yeah, I've had a second starter. I just haven't had the stuff to outfit it. And I wasn't buying a second Sullivan starting wand because $100 for a starter for a 6mm wand with a one-way bearing on it is ridiculous. I can't do that. I've got one on my first starter. I'll get that back, and that'll be great. But I think the backup can do just fine with the SAB wand. I think that's about it for my week, though. Let's see. Yeah. I think that's it. So hopefully next week I'll have gotten a little bit of flying in. I'm going to order a transmitter glove before too long because I want to be able to fly through this winter.
Yeah, same.
At least part of it.
I actually thought about that. Think I'm just going to go with the Hobby King one because why
Yeah,
the
me
fuck
too.
not?
They're $12.
I think that's the one I have. I've never used it.
Yeah, I had a buddy recommend that to me this year. He said just get the Hobby King one. It's the one I use. He lives in Montana. It's really cold there in the winters. So, and if it works for him, I know it'll work for me. So I'm just gonna get the Turner G one.
Can you put like a heating element that runs off like a 3S battery in it or something?
He said that he doesn't even use a heating element, but I will probably just buy the like the warm pack things.
Yeah.
Take them out of the package. They're like $1 each or something like that.
I would probably prefer to go electric, but I have no clue how much load that would be on like a 3S 1000. I have like 10 of these flying around, so if one sufficed for like 2 or 3 or 4 flights, then that would totally be fine with me.
Yeah, that'd probably be fine. I mean, I bet you can find actually little heating elements that are made to run off just that voltage. and you'd be just fine to use that.
Holy crap.
I don't know, maybe I'd do something
New
like
idea,
that
new
too.
idea, new idea. Heated sticks.
that?
Heated sticks?
Heated sticks? How you going to do heated
let's
sticks?
burn the shit out of our fingers while we're flying.
This would be the best thing ever. Dude.
No,
yeah, but
it
they wouldn't keep the outside of your fingers cold,
I'll
which
say
is
this does absolutely
that's the worst part.
Why don't you make a heated transmitter instead, genius?
The only thing flying in
Well,
winter is that I don't feel the sticks anymore at some point. And when I don't feel the sticks, I cannot fly. Everything else doesn't really matter.
You have an
But
issue
that's the
feeling your stick?
I think the transmitter glove would help more than heated sticks would.
Why not both? But yeah.
Yeah, both would probably be awesome.
Yeah. That is...
But
gotta bring that
heated
up to
sticks might be a
Mikado.
real pain. Yeah, heated sticks for the V control.
Yeah, I would dig that.
Only $499.99 for the upgrade.
That's pretty cheap then.
Oh well, yeah. So yeah.
Why don't they just make the whole metal one heated? There you go.
Oh my
Well,
god.
Justin Pucci of RCHN talked about doing that with his Jetty, but I don't know if he ever if he ever did it. But he talked because it's got an aluminum case on it.
Yeah.
That
I
would
mean, you
be...
can do it on the plastic one. It just might melt.
Well, the plastic one's just not going to transfer the heat from the whatever heating element.
How hot are you planning to make it? You know that above 60 degrees you burn your fucking fingers?
Yeah. Well, I want to make it hot enough to melt plastic.
Well, good luck then. Oh, but yeah, transmitter gloves, off we go, flying in winter.
Yep. So that's the plan. I'll let you know when I pick up mine and how it works for me.
I mean, if
Like
I could
said,
find mine, I'll just send it to you. You just pay for shipping. I'm never gonna use mine.
That would probably be more expensive than just Jonas buying one from
Yeah.
Hobby King.
I mean, I'll say in either one of you can get it, but all right.
Dude, they're gonna charge you your firstborn child for customs too, so you gotta watch out for that shit. Even if you tell them it's a gift.
Yeah.
God, they're brutal.
There are no gifts by law. You have to pay VAT and customs on everything you bring into the country. Here. German customs are just fucking stupid.
That's rough.
Take customs out of that, and you got yourself a quality sentence. Let's cut this out and go into autos.
Yeah.
No, well, is there any news? Anybody got any news? There's got to be some news.
Let me
That
take
new
a look-see here.
Tyrannus X10 thing, I think, is shipping
Tyrannosaurus
soon.
Rex.
Like full color screen, fully programmable open transmitter, all that crap. What people want. Some people.
Some people. I don't. I know they exist, but I have no clue how they work, what they are.
It's actually pretty cool. They're pretty cool transmitters. If I was in the market for a new one, I don't know, I might be tempted by that new X10 one.
Mm-hmm. I know Keith has one.
Yeah, he's got that X7 and he really likes it. Actually, Keith the other day was working on some stuff and I helped him do some of the math for his receiver battery capacity display. And it's really cool because it's the language, the scripting language it uses, Lua, is fairly straightforward. And so we were able to get that squared away pretty quickly.
That is hilarious. Lua also plugs into X-Plane.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's a plugin called Fly with Lua, and they made incredible like atmospheric shaders and stuff, and yeah, it's quite.
I think it's a pretty decent little scripting language. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I mean, from the snippets of code and stuff that Keith was sending me, it was very easy to follow what was going on. Very similar to like a BASIC or a C++ or something like that. Just really easy to see what's going on, and yeah. But it was pretty cool. He made a whole little display and stuff and it showed and he had main pack capacity and stuff, and you can pull values straight from the sensors and everything's all it's pretty neat. I think it would turn into like a whole second hobby though. I think just like scripting new programs and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. But if we don't have any other news, then I would say we have...
I'll start our topic. We're going to do autos. So here's how you do an auto. You go down collective when you're level. And before you hit the ground, you go up collective. That's how you do an auto.
Aren't we so blessed to have
Done.
Nick here? I mean, he's a real life flight instructor.
Yeah, that's what I tell my students. Don't fuck up. And don't hit the ground really hard, and we're good.
I have no clue why they let you fly helicopters to this day. It is still the most...
I don't either.
It is like one of the unsolved mysteries that remain.
Because it goes different when someone pays me to teach them.
I mean, you can...
And I mean, let's face it, it's the FAA. That's all I need to say.
Yeah, those idiots cannot
those
even tell...
Those who understand will get it.
These idiots cannot even tell settling with power and vortex ring state apart.
Idiots.
So,
yeah.
Now the real introduction. We're going to do autos today, and Johnny's going to teach us all about it while I sit here and just laugh at what he says wrong.
That's probably fair, because I always laugh at what you get wrong.
Usually.
But yeah, autorotations. I would really consider autorotations basics, because anything on your helicopter goes wrong, chances are you are gonna autorotate in no time. Have a plug on your battery desolder, autorotate. Have a gear strip, autorotate. Have a tail rotor failure, autorotate. Your packs burst into flames, autorotate.
What's sad is how many of these you've named off, and I've had to do them.
I mean, the list could go on and on. There's just so many occasions where you just want to get the energy out of the system, but still be able to land. And yeah, that is what an autorotation is for. If anyone is completely clueless currently what an autorotation is, it is essentially switching off your motor in flight and using the airflow through the rotor to generate lift and driving force on the rotor blades to keep them spinning. Autorotation is defined as reaching an equilibrium between drag and driving force on the rotor blade. So as soon as you enter a stable autorotation state, your RPM will be steady, your rate of descent will be steady, and, well, you're auto-rotating until something else happens. For example, ground comes too close.
Ground comes too close.
Yeah, I mean, gravity is the main driving factor for your auto-rotation.
Once you stop using gravity as a downward force, it no longer works.
Fly off into space, whee! Okay, but I want to start out by clearing up some misconceptions about autorotations that a lot of people have. So the first one is you need positive collective to... I'm an idiot. The first...
You need negative collective to do an auto.
The first one actually is you need negative collective to do an autorotation, and that is wrong. At least in most cases, you can still autorotate while having a positive angle of incidence and also angle of attack on your rotor blades. I'm just gonna throw a little picture on screen here. I'm not gonna go too deep into physics, but essentially what you're seeing is like...
Are you about to go into like driven portions?
No, I'm not. I'm just going into lift and drag. So what you're seeing is basically... Okay, so the blade is flying horizontally in this graph, and like that line with the W on it and with the angle indication is like the actual airflow into the airfoil section. That is obviously at a positive angle to the zero lift chord, which means it is at a positive angle of attack. What you're seeing titled as DL is your lift component from the airfoil, so that's what's making you fly, and what's titled DD is the drag. So these two kind of form it's
got double D's.
I was avoiding saying double D.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
But if you combine those two into one force vector titled dr here, that is where your total forces on the blades are acting. So in this picture, it's actually a bit aft of vertical, or it looks like it's a bit aft of vertical, so that would be actually braking the rotor in that state. Assume you go a little flatter on the pitch, then your drag is going to reduce, your lift is increased, and as soon as that dr force vector goes basically to the left of vertical, you have a driving force in the airfoil, which also allows you to auto-rotate at like positive angles of attack. So what you can do is, like with an RC helicopter, set at 2 or 3 degrees positive collective and just glide down. I'm just gonna demonstrate this real quick for everyone watching, because we're still flying simulators, so why would I not? Bringing up my transmitter in the bottom right here, and well, let's just zoom in a bit. I cannot zoom in more, and enter auto rotation at a slight positive collective angle. You see my RPMs are dropping to like 850, 60-ish here. 870, but my positive is slightly collective, my collective is slightly positive, so we are currently auto-rotating at slightly positive collective. And you can use that to really stretch out auto-rotations. What people call floater auto-rotations are essentially this, because, well, you generate like maximum lift from like really low rates of descent. You just have to be really, really careful to not go too high, because at some point your drag is going to rise through the roof and you're just falling, because the blades are going to get too slow and just not producing lift anymore. But yeah, so you can totally auto-rotate at a positive angle of incidence and a positive angle of attack. So yeah, do not be afraid to go up a little on your collective. It's not going to drop you out of the sky immediately. Speaking of dropping out of the sky, auto-rotations are not difficult. Many people think auto-rotations are one of the most difficult maneuvers you can do. Well, they are not, because once
fake
you
news.
enter... Huh?
The fake news.
No, but with a flybarless helicopter that kind of holds its its angular position in 3D space. Once you enter auto rotation and get that equilibrium, your helicopter is gonna auto rotate itself, literally. I'm gonna demonstrate that right here. I'm gonna enter auto rotation. Get it to a steady auto rotation pace, and now I'm just letting go of the sticks.
That's actually what you do, like with a real one. It's not just a sim.
Yeah, you see it's auto rotating currently. Okay, I could have set it a little more flat, but you're seeing what I'm saying. Once you enter auto rotation and find that collective position that gives you a decent RPM to hold, you can let go of everything. It will pretty much hold airspeed, it will hold RPM, and it will fly itself basically to the ground. You will have to take action before the ground, obviously, but I mean, if we're just staying in auto rotation like that, it's stabilized at 1210 10 RPM. It's slightly getting faster. We're doing like 30 miles per hour. I don't know why this is not in metric, but oh well.
America.
And the heli is the heli is just floating down gently. There is nothing to fear. Once you enter auto rotation, it's really a brain dead process. You just let it fly itself down. It's especially impressive when you set it up so that it flies right in front of your feet, and you just have to flare and set it down.
I mean, it's impressive as long as you don't hit yourself.
Sure. But yeah, there is nothing to fear. You don't have to do anything to sustain auto rotation, except for setting it up right. Then the heli will come down on its own. You can also go a little more negative, then it will stabilize at a higher RPM, but it's still auto-rotating without me doing anything. So yeah, that's another misconception. Auto-rotations are not hard. You just have to wrap your mind around the heli flying itself.
This is my favorite thing to do with autos right here.
What you doing? I don't know where you're at.
sliding a lot.
Airplane autos.
Oh,
yes.
Airplane autos.
that's the best because
Yes.
like with pavement.
Yeah, pavement works really good. And then out at our club field, we have like a kind of like a stretchy fabric runway thing. And it works really well on that too. As long as you don't hit like a seam or a bolt.
So it works great as long as you don't hit anything.
Dynamic
Yeah, which I
rollover.
usually don't. I
That
mean,
makes sense.
it's pretty easy to hit. Or it's pretty easy to miss all the stuff.
You ever spin
They're
your
there.
tail while you're sliding?
No, I don't do that.
Oh,
That sounds like it was
chicken.
instant. Yep, basically.
Do it. It works in a sim. I want to do it easily in person.
Well, I mean, it probably would do it easily enough while you still had a little bit of collective juice left.
Nah, do it
But
when you're
what-
going super slow and you have no collective left.
Yeah, it sounds like a real bad idea. Cool, Nick.
Your tail's more efficient than the collective, right?
Oh man. Hey, I am already set up to demonstrate the next thing.
Oh, I hit a cone.
Okay,
Straight away.
next. I'll just continue. Next misconception is that you need airspeed to auto-rotate. Because you really do not. You can auto-rotate vertically. It's totally fine. As long as you regain your RPM at the end of the auto-rotation. So I'm hovering somewhere up here. High
You're
up.
way up there.
Yeah, I'm just switching it off, dropping the collective. And you see I'm basically at 0 ground speed. And my RPM is stabilized at 1350. I can drop it a little more. See if we can gain a bit more. Yeah, 1450, 60, 70. Yeah, you can auto-rotate vertically. Only thing you gotta do is gain some speed and flare it before you set it down, because it can really pick up vertical speed there. Yeah, that is a thing you can do. And the last misconception about auto rotations is immediate effect of attitude and collective on your RPM. You see, in a normal auto rotations, your main contributing factors to your glide slope, RPM, rate of descent are your elevator and your collective. And most people believe that they mainly control their RPM with their collective. It's not wrong. The collective has a long-term effect on your RPM. But if you want to gain RPM immediately, you actually pull back on the elevator. This is like especially noticeable in like fast flying. I'm just gonna demonstrate this. If I fly fast and my battery is empty and I switch it off and I just pull back without touching my collective, it gains RPM. If I reset real quick to recharge my battery and do the same thing again and just drop the collective, you will see that I will like start sinking really quickly, maybe even slam into the ground, but not gain really any head speed. So we are 2000, engine fails, I drop my collective.
Oh, you almost hit me.
The RPM continued to drop, and that's the point. The first thing you want to do when your motor quits and you're going fast is pull back, because that gives you RPM. Not too far. You don't want to completely get rid of all your forward momentum, but if you need RPM, you pull. Look, I'm flying 2000. Switch it off. 1700, I pull back. 1600, yeah, it just flared up. It's effectively 300 RPM just by pulling back without touching the collective. What your collective does in a normal autorotation is mainly adjust your glide slope. If you want to come down steeper, you're not going to pull back on the elevator or push forward or anything. You just want to drop your collective. It has an effect on RPM because your sink rate will alter the airflow through the disc. But what you're mainly doing with collective is adjusting glide slope. So if I come in here, I am at a really low rate of descent currently. Like the floater auto rotation that I demonstrated with the positive collective. And if I drop my collective now, you will see it starts to descend. It will also gain RPM, but the first immediate effect is to alter my glide slope so I can essentially fly it down in front of my feet just with collective here. Obviously, your elevator will also have a long-term effect on your airspeed, but if you just pull back momentarily, it will increase RPM. So that is like your emergency plan. If you're low on RPM, first thing you do is pull back, and then worry about everything else. So if we set up another auto rotation here, like a bit faster, stabilizes around, it did not stabilize yet, but I will demonstrate this. I just pull back, flared over 2100 RPM without touching the collective anymore, because that essentially increases the airflow through your disc.
That's
yeah, go ahead.
I never really played with it like that before, but yeah, it's just playing with that whole concept of using the collective only to speed up and slow down the rate of descent. Just automatically made me a lot more accurate with my final placement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the beauty of.
Yeah, that's cool. That I'm gonna have to play with this in real life some, because this is like. Yeah.
And yeah, like the cyclic, how he's saying is like the quickest way to change your RPM. It's definitely true, because even like in the real helicopter, when we're doing practice autos, if a student starts to go to overspeed, the first thing I do is push forward on that collective to drop the RPM quick, because it's the fastest way to stop the RPM from like shooting up. Obviously in these, we're not worried about overspeeding them. So I mean, this just overspeed the piss out of it, but
yeah,
it's definitely true
Overspeed's
that
like
collective is not as quick reacting to changing RPM.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah, just you would think it would though, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It just it for sure. You notice the glide rate, sink rate of the helicopter change faster than you notice the RPM change.
Yeah, and that is simply because you are immediately altering the airflow through the disc. If we really exaggerate this, like, let's do this again. If I like really fly down at like a pretty much 45-degree angle, you have like 50% airflow through the disc. If I push forward so that the nose is 45 degrees down, I have 0 airflow through the disc. If I pull back 45 degrees, I have 100% airflow through the disc immediately.
Right.
If I just change the collective, my sink rate has to change first for that airflow to change, and that takes definitely longer than just adjusting the pitch attitude. So if you just drop the collective to the floor, nothing's gonna happen. You're actually increasing the drag on the blade, so you're losing RPM first.
Right.
So if I drop it down low here, 1200, 1100, if I pull now, it regains RPM, but it's a slow process. So that is not how you recover RPM. Go cyclic all the way. That is something I tell everyone I teach to auto-rotate. Cyclic is your main source of RPM. Even if you're trading airspeed, you can regain airspeed later, but if you need RPM, just pull immediately.
Well, like, I've never really, I mean, ever since I really started doing them in real life and practicing them a lot on the sim, I've not had an issue with getting an auto down to the ground. Like but my issue was always like, how accurately can I place the helicopter? How can I judge it as I was going through it? And I always would put my collective in like in the spot where I knew, like just under zero, where I knew like at you know at whatever at a slight forward speed and a slightly nose down attitude, I could auto it down. It I did not realize how easily you could affect the slope just using the collective without necessarily affecting your head speed.
Once that clicks, you basically got all the tools on hand to auto in front of you. It's that easy. Just drop the collective to go steeper and increase it to go slower. Your heli is not going to drop out of the sky from either.
Nope, not as long as you stay,
within the range.
Don't full stick it.
Yeah, you basically don't want to go below 6 degrees negative and above like 3 degrees positive, because everything below 6 degrees negative in an upright auto is gonna increase your rate of descent without gaining you any RPM really, because the drag starts to exceed the lift again. And well, positive, obviously the combined force vector goes behind vertical, and then it's game over because your blade's stopping.
Yeah.
Actually, with VTX you can go a bit more positive because they stall very late and can float down at 700 RPM, but that really leaves no reserves at the bottom, so I would not recommend flying that all the way to the ground. Yeah, but for regular blades, stick to 3 degrees positive, just for good practice. Yeah, and otherwise that should be it for theory. I don't think we're gonna go into kinetic versus rotational versus potential energy today, because that would really be a lot of math and physics. But what people should realize is that they can convert these energies into each other. So basically what you're doing during an actual auto rotation is come down at a steady descent rate with a set RPM that is stabilized. You're basically trading potential energy for rotational energy continuously during your descent. You're always giving up a little of potential energy in form of height for a bit of rotational energy that keeps your rotor spinning, which is kept in equilibrium with the drag on the rotor blades. So that is a steady descent, trading potential energy for rotational energy at a steady rate. What you also can do is convert all your potential energy, so your height, into kinetic energy, means speed, by just coming down fast and building speed, because on a steady rate of descent you're obviously not, oh wow, my battery's empty, let's auto rotate. You're obviously not gaining any downward speed, but if you do what I'm doing right now, like going really nose down and gaining a lot of speed downwards, you're converting that potential energy into kinetic energy, speed, which you are, during that descent, you're not trading that into RPM, which is the key point. So you come down with a lot of speed and you have most of that energy you got out of your height, you're bringing that down to the ground. And what that allows you to do is to flare it really aggressively and build a huge amount of RPM. So if you look at what I'm doing right now, up high here, means a lot of potential energy in the form of height. I could trade that into continuous RPM build up versus drag by floating down, or I can do this. I can fly down at a nose down attitude, build speed. You can see my speed rise, and then I can pull back and flare it above 2,500 RPM by trading that stored energy like in one instant into RPM.
So you're talking about doing like dismount autos and stuff, like, so
Exactly, dismount autos is probably what it's called. Just dismounting, building a lot of speed and trading that into RPM in like one fluid motion in a really short amount of time. Gives you a lot of RPM to work with.
Right, so if you want to do like an inverted auto with a pyro flip at the end, or half pyro flip, I mean, at the end or something, like, you would want to, yes, for example, you would want to build that RPM to give you that auto, the head speed you need to do that.
Yeah, let's just demonstrate this. I'm coming down really fast, gaining a lot of speed, flaring it up.
What happened?
I rammed it into the ground really hard. that is why we have ground in view for the simulator, because you cannot see the ground coming. Let's try that again. Come down, build speed, flare it aggressively, and then just do a pyro flip, bleed that energy off and land. You could, for example, not do that after like a steady autorotative descent, because you just do not have the energy in the blades. So yeah, that is kind of the energy conversion 101 of autorotations. If you come down at a steady rate, you're trading potential energy for rotational energy continuously. If you're coming down with a shit ton of speed, also called dismount auto, you are converting your potential energy into a ton of kinetic energy without really losing much of that. And then you can convert all of that kinetic energy into RPM, rotational energy, in one instant, and have a ton of energy to work with at the bottom of the autorotation. This is also why you will rarely see anyone doing like a steady rate inverted autorotation, because it gives you way less rotational energy and RPM to flip it around. So if I do like a steady rate of descent inverted auto right here, stabilizes at 1290-ish, 1300 RPM, 1200 RPM, and you see I'm coming in inverted and I do not really have much energy to roll it around with. I mean, I can, but it's not fun. It's rather stressful because you're losing RPM to cyclic inputs. Every cyclic input costs RPM and lift. So what you much rather want to do is like come in like that and doing like half a loop, come in with a lot of speed, flare it up, roll it. Can even do 1.5 rolls before I have to flare it here due to that like stored energy in RPM. And well, you're fine to do whatever you want. Yeah.
So I've got a question as regarding to like setting up a helicopter to do your auto rotation. Say if you were so inclined, you wanted to go out and just practice.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things to look for in an airframe that's good for auto rotations? And then how does someone choose blades that are good for auto rotations?
Oh, that is actually a really good topic to cover. So it depends on the type of auto rotation you want to do.
So say we're learning autos. Say I wanna, I've done, I've mastered my orientations and stuff, and now I want to learn autos. So just in case there's like an emergency, and lo and behold, for whatever reason, I've got the money laying around to just build a new helicopter. So I'm building a new heli. I can choose whatever airframe I want, whatever blades I want to put on it. How am I going to set this thing up to best learning autos?
Okay, helicopters that are too light are not good for auto rotations, and helicopters that are too heavy are not good for auto rotations. So if you're set on a specific class of helicopter, for example 700, you kind of know the weights that are normal 4.6, 4.7-ish is really light for a 700. Say Logo 690, Raptor E700, these kind of things. For learning auto rotations, I would actually avoid these. Because in a steady descent, they're just not going to produce the the heavier a helicopter is, the more RPM it can maintain during a steady descent auto rotation, because it's just got a higher mass to pull.
Yeah, gravity of. Yeah.
I mean, gravity is like a constant acceleration, but once you reach equilibrium, mass plays a role as well.
Right.
So yeah, look for a heli that is like in the medium range of weights for a helicopter. For example, I would not start with a 5.8 kilogram Kronos or Logo 700 Extreme. That is just ridiculous. They're gonna fall really fast, and yeah, that makes no sense. But also not a Logo 690, because that one, for example, in a floater auto rotation, it does not build the RPM a slightly heavier airframe would build. So you're probably sitting there at 1,100 RPM sailing down, and then you have little reserves at the bottom. So what I would look for is like a helicopter at 5.1, 5.2-ish kilograms.
So that's going to be like right around an 11.5 pound helicopter, probably 11.5 pounds.
That sounds about right, yeah. Logo 700, for example, Goblin, Black Thunder. What else is in that range?
My 7HV was in that range, but it wasn't a Kronos.
Yeah.
With the 7HV head and stuff, I was right. And 4,400 packs.
Yeah, so aim for around the middle of your range for weight, and then, yeah. What else are we looking at?
Okay, so what about blades? What blades do I want to get if I want like good blades to auto with?
Not super light ones.
I actually prefer light blades for auto rotating, because.
But if you're learning, you don't want light blades.
That is right.
Because he's asking about learning.
If we are looking at blades, you have two main factors for how a blade is gonna auto rotate. Actually, three, but like. One of those would be airfoil, and airfoil is the same on most blades. So really two factors, weight and CG. Essentially you're looking at rotational moment of inertia of the blade. So lighter blade has lower rotational MOI, and a further inward CG gives you a lower rotational MOI. Blades that are lighter or with the CG further in can store. Like, they can store the same energy, but they trade it off faster, because they don't have the moment of inertia to hold that energy for long. So what you're seeing is like a really rapid increase and decrease of RPM. You can, like, a light blade corresponds to a really quick reacting gasoline engine in your car. Like, you just blip the throttle and the RPMs come up immediately, but they also drop really quickly with very low rev hang. You know what I'm talking about?
If you're asking us, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
is. They have like a lower flywheel effect.
Yeah, exactly.
The flywheel effect is lower the mass of the blades.
Yeah, exactly. So, light blade essentially is really responsive to RPM changes. It loves to change RPM. It is really quick in that. You can really, really quickly gain RPM, but you can lose it as well really quickly. Helix blades are terrible for auto rotations. They gain RPM really well, but they lose it immediately as well.
Confirmed. First helicopter I did, inverted auto on Logo 700 Extreme with Helix blades. Very hard.
I have a video of me flying a 690 with Helix blades, and you can look that up. How that auto went. Otherwise, heavy blades are more like a heavy diesel engine, slow to accelerate, but also with a lot of rev hang, high flywheel effect. It's gonna retain the RPM it's got really long. So essentially it's harder to gain RPM with a heavy blade, but it's also easier to maintain RPM while maneuvering because they just don't bleed off RPM really quickly. For an advanced pilot, for example, me, I prefer light blades every day of the week. For example, VTX 697s are really responsive to RPM changes. They gain RPM really quickly and lose it fairly quickly, but I can work with that just way better than with a heavier blade. VTX 717s, for example, would be really slow to gain RPM, but they hold it for an eternity. They hold it really long.
They do. Forever. I found Rotortech 710s to be a really good blade to auto.
Yeah,
like when
I
you're starting.
actually did my first autorotation videos, the first two with Rotortex and Rotortex Auto. They're really like the default blade of the heli industry. They're kind of...
I really think that they're my favorite blade right now still. The VTX are great, but they're just still a little expensive. So Rotortex are always what I recommend. They're always my favorite all-around blade.
Yeah, Rotortech are pretty nice if you need something that is not VTX. But for autorotations, I would actually recommend VTX. If you're learning 717s, if you're going more advanced 697s, because they're really efficient with cyclic inputs. They barely lose any RPM with cyclic inputs. For example, I did an auto rotation with the 690 where I did 2 full rolls at full cyclic input and could still land after that.
Wow, so that'd be really good for someone learning, because any corrections and stuff you have to do on your flight path are going to bleed off your RPM. So
yeah, and they stall really late, so you can go really high on the collective and really have them sitting at low RPM without falling out of the sky, which is a really nice property.
Yeah, I had the first time I put VTX blades on my helicopter, I was hovering at probably just above or just right around eye level, so maybe 4 degrees collective, if that. And I hit throttle hold, and my helicopter just hovered there for 10 seconds before it started to descend, or I moved the collective. I mean, it just chilled. It continued making lift.
Yeah. 10 seconds seems a bit excessive, yeah. But yeah.
Okay, maybe.
Someone like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Felt like 30 seconds. Felt like forever.
Yeah, VTX are great blades for auto rotating. And otherwise, I really like the auto behavior of halo blades. These retain RPM for really long and are fairly quick to gain it.
Oh. I did not know that.
I mean, Bobby advertises with auto rotation capabilities of these blades because he loves auto rotating, and they are wonderful to auto rotate. Otherwise, edge fly.
Sidebar, really quick. Did you guys watch the video where Bobby rotated the Comet?
Yeah.
The mini Comet. I mean.
Yeah.
A lot of mass helps keeping these blades spinning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
It
was pretty great.
Yeah, any blade that's
it's nice to see it actually do
it. So what do you look at? So if you're looking at specs of blades, what's a heavier 700 blade? 200 grams?
200 grams is the norm currently. Okay. Heavier is about 210, 220. VTX 717s are, I think, spec'd to 210 grams. Don't quote me on that, but I think they're spec'd around that. Otherwise, Helix are super light at 180 grams. Yeah, that's so both ends of the spectrum. The heaviest 700 blades that are out there are probably old spin blade black belts that were around 230, fly like a bus, but retain RPM forever. But yeah, it was also really hard to gain RPM on them once you bled it off. So always two sides of the medal.
Yeah.
And what you also want to look into when looking for an airframe is how freely the drivetrain spins. Because a belt, for example, through the constant deformation is gonna lose quite some energy to heat. Several gear stages before the one-way bearing loses quite some energy to a gear and bearing friction. And yeah. Also, the mass of the rotor head. The mass of the rotor head is really significant for auto-rotating. Like the old 700 Extreme, that rotor head weighed like... It felt like a kilogram.
Thor's hammer.
Yeah. That one would store a ton of energy. Which, like, it was really easy to speed it up because you had that huge aerodynamic force, but you really felt the rotor head maintaining some of that energy during auto rotation.
Huh.
That was kind of neat, but also made the helicopter quite inefficient because speeding it up obviously cost a lot of energy too. For the motor. So yeah, heavy drive trains help a lot with like flywheel effect, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, I think that's why the Kronos actually still auto rotates pretty darn well, because it has a pretty darn beefy drivetrain and head on it.
Yeah, I have not yet.
Well, I can tell you my 7HV autos really well. It did with like 4400 packs. Like I said, it's right in that almost a little bit lighter weight range, and the Kronos only adds weight in the head.
Yeah.
It adds weight, but all that weight is added in the head. So I can imagine that the flywheel effect of that would offset some of the increased weight of the airframe.
Yeah, I flew a friend's Kronos and the entire tail just exploded and I had to auto it down.
That's right.
And, well, it held RPM forever. I could sail it in and set it down super smoothly. That was completely uncritical. It's funny, just oversped it a little, the entire front pulley exploded.
Yeah, I must have been some kind of stress fracture or something in it.
Probably, or
you
just like it oversped and
pulled it apart.
Yeah, the tail started wagging, so that was probably too much force on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I've just seen some of the overspeeds that Henrik does, and it holds up for his. So I'm imagining there must have been something going on with that pulley.
No,
but yeah, it just blew up.
Better.
But yeah, I think that should be it for autorotation theory. Is there anything else you could think of? Nick, you're the CFI here.
Not without getting overly in depth to where we don't need to.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. We talked about. Okay, you talked about tail drives, how that can affect things.
I mean, we can kind of leave it there, and as if people want to hear more in depth, we can go down that road in like a future episode, like Auto Rotations Part 2.
With some of the more physics
we'll start
stuff
stealing
in it.
Johnny's videos names. Yeah, I mean, like, if people want to know more of the driving forces and everything behind it, can do that. But otherwise, I mean, I don't think I need to unless people actually want to hear how it all works.
Well, I mean, I don't need a nap right now, so you don't have to put me to sleep.
Exactly. Basically, what I'm going at here is this is already over an hour episode of autos.
Hey,
that's fine. This one was a lot of fun. I can say I have already learned a lot and can apply it to what I've been doing in the last hour. I've learned. So
I want to add one more thing.
I consider that a success.
Well,
Let me add one more thing.
We made one person. Go for it.
If you switch off your motor in a hover, it's not an auto rotation.
It's a mini auto.
It's not.
That's what we call them. Hover auto.
But that's what they're colloquially referred to, so that's what they are.
But it's wrong. It's not an auto rotation. You're never entering auto rotation during that.
That's okay. That's okay. And I'm not gonna fight you on that. But I'm telling you they are colloquially referred to as mini autos, so that makes them mini autos.
Wrong.
And
well,
you're
then
gonna
people
have
are
to deal with it.
wrong.
You're all wrong. They're referred to as
that
hover
can be,
autos.
That's fine. That's fine. Everyone everyone in the world could actually technically be wrong, but at some point they become right. You know what I mean?
Wow, motivational. Here we go with Sage, the motivational speaker.
No, I mean, here's the thing. And Johnny and I kind of argue about this a lot, actually, but it's like one of those things where when something becomes common usage, whether or not it's technically correct, once it's common usage, it is what it is. If you're trying to communicate with someone in the hobby and you are more focused on what is technically correct than what common usage means, you're going to be the one that struggles, not everyone else. That's the only point I want to make.
Wow.
I'm
I feel inspired. I feel inspired to make today a better day now.
Okay, fuck both of yourselves.
Or it ends up just being a bunch of butthurt army veterans that think settling with power would be an appropriate term for Vortex Ring State because the Navy does it differently.
But you know what?
It's
Everyone
just
still
butthurt
lives.
old...
Everyone still lives. And here you are sitting on the ground bitching about it. Well, we're out there flying helicopters. So I think the butthurt one might be you.
Butthurt old people.
I think you're the ideal butthurt situation right here.
Okay.
Well, that's it for today, guys.
And thank you for anyone who put up with that and is still with us.
Right? If you made it through that, you deserve an award.
But we're not giving them out. So
No, you can talk to Johnny about your reward. King Butthurt himself over there. So, if you guys want to hear more about autos, let us know. We can go more in depth and put Sage to sleep.
Yep.
Otherwise, find us on Facebook. If you haven't already, you definitely should have. What else do we have? We have emails. Hate mail this week goes to Johnny.
Me?
Yeah,
All
sure,
in the
that's
description. What else do we have? Anything? Am I missing anything?
Nope, all that stuff's in our description. Check out our feed if you want an audio only version. You can add our burner feed to your podcast app and do it that way. And all that information will be in the description of the YouTube video.
Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to our new YouTube channel, definitely do, because that's where we'll be uploading now.
Yep.
So
Now and forevermore.
Yeah, that's true. And forevermore. Alrighty. Well, I think that's it, guys.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Thanks, guys, for watching.